Admiral Zephyx stretched his four arms as he floated in the command center of the massive space station. His crystalline body caught the light from distant stars, casting rainbow patterns across the metal walls. Around him, hundreds of screens showed information from across the Calraxian Empire. 10,000 star systems, 500 different alien races, all under their control. He pulled up the weekly reports from the Outer Rim territories. Most were boring, mining operations running smoothly, tribute payments arriving on time, rebellions crushed before they could spread. Just another normal week in the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. One small report caught his attention. Planet designation 7741C. The locals called it Earth. He remembered this world from his training days. A blue and green ball of rock in an unremarkable star system. The creatures there were called humans, short-lived bipeds who barely lived. 100 years. The surveillance report made him laugh. These humans were still using chemical rockets to reach space. Their biggest space station was smaller than his personal shuttle. Their weapons shot metal bullets and simple energy beams. They had not even colonized their own moon properly. Pathetic, Zephyx muttered to himself. The humans had been space-capable for less than a century. Most races took at least 500 years to develop faster than light travel. Humans were moving at the pace of frozen mud. He marked the report as low priority and moved on. Earth was not worth conquering. The planet had some useful metals, but nothing special. The humans would probably destroy themselves in a few more decades anyway. Most primitive species did. What Admiral Zephyx did not know was that his surveillance probes were seeing exactly what the humans wanted them to see. 50 years ago, every government on Earth had made the same shocking discovery. A small alien scout ship had crashed in the Antarctic ice. The technology inside was far beyond anything humans had ever imagined. But more importantly, they found something else in the ship's computers. Information about a vast galactic empire that saw Earth as nothing more than a number in their files. The world's leaders held secret meetings. They faced a terrible choice. They could announce the discovery and try to advance their technology quickly, but that would take centuries, and the aliens might notice. Or they could do something that had never been tried before. They could lie to an entire galactic empire. The decision was unanimous. Earth would appear backward and harmless while secretly becoming the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Every satellite launched after that day carried two sets of technology. The outer shell looked primitive and clunky, chemical rockets and basic computers. But hidden inside were revolutionary systems that bent the laws of physics. To alien sensors, Earth's technology looked like it had barely changed in 50 years. In reality, humans had surpassed their watchers in ways the aliens could never imagine. Deep under the mountains of Colorado, Dr. Sarah Chen walked through corridors that officially did not exist. The Prometheus Project facility stretched for miles underground. Thousands of the world's brightest minds worked here, developing technology that would have seemed like magic to their grandparents. Sarah stopped in front of a massive viewing window. Beyond the transparent aluminum, the UES Prometheus sat in its construction bay. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Energy patterns danced across its surface in colors that had no names. "Status report," Sarah called out to her chief engineer. "All primary systems are online," Dr. Marcus Webb replied, not looking up from his holographic displays. "The quantum fold armor is stable across all 11 dimensions. The exotic matter reactors are producing energy at 127% of theoretical maximum, and the consciousness-based AI core is fully integrated." Sarah nodded. The Prometheus was not just a ship. It was humanity's declaration that they would never bow to alien masters. Every system on board represented breakthroughs that had taken 50 years of secret research. The ship could travel faster than light without using hyperspace. Its weapons could destroy matter at the atomic level. Its defenses existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Most importantly, the ship was completely invisible to alien detection methods. The Empire's sensors would see a small asteroid until the moment the Prometheus chose to reveal itself. "How many crew members are aboard?" Sarah asked. 200 of our best," Marcus replied. "All volunteers, all sworn to secrecy until the day comes." Sarah touched the window with her palm. The day was coming sooner than anyone expected. Intelligence reports suggested the Empire was finally expanding into Earth's sector of space. After 50 years of hiding, humanity would soon have to show its true face to the galaxy. In orbit around Earth, the International Space Station continued its research mission. To alien observers, it looked like a collection of primitive modules held together with metal struts. The humans aboard seemed to be conducting basic experiments and growing food in zero gravity. The aliens could not see the advanced laboratories, hidden in the station's core. They could not detect the quantum computers that were connected to similar facilities across the planet. They had no idea that the space station was actually a command center coordinating the defense of an entire star system. Commander Lisa Park floated in the station's secret control room, watching displays that showed the location of every alien probe within 100 light-years of Earth. Her job was to make sure those probes saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. "New contact," her sensor operator called out. "Calraxian, surveillance drone entering the outer system. Standard response," Lisa ordered. "Make sure it sees our chemical rockets and primitive satellites. Nothing more." The drone would scan Earth for a few hours, confirm that the humans were still primitive, and then move on to more interesting targets. It would never detect the network of hidden installations that were actually more advanced than anything in the Calraxian Empire. On the surface of Earth, life appeared normal. Cities buzzed with activity. People went to work and school and worried about everyday problems. But in secret facilities on every continent, humanity prepared for the day when hiding would no longer be possible. The technology they had developed went far beyond simple weapons and shields. Human scientists had learned to manipulate time itself. They had created materials that existed in multiple dimensions. They had built artificial intelligences based on copies of human consciousness, giving their machines something no alien AI possessed: creativity and intuition. Admiral Zefix finished, reviewing his reports and prepared to leave his office. Tomorrow, he would attend a meeting about expanding the Empire's borders, new star systems to conquer, new races to enslave. It would be routine work. He had no way of knowing that in a hidden facility on a world he considered primitive, Captain Sarah Chen was receiving her final orders. The Prometheus was complete, its crew was ready, and Earth's long masquerade was about to end. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity had been playing a game the aliens did not even know existed. For 50 years, Earth had appeared weak while becoming strong. They had seemed primitive while advancing beyond the Empire's wildest dreams. Soon, very soon, the Calraxian Empire would learn what happened when they underestimated a species that refused to kneel. The humans had been patient. They had been careful. They had been planning. Now it was time to show the galaxy what Earth's children could really do. Fleet Commander Korath studied the star charts with growing satisfaction. His orders were simple: bring the Sol system under Imperial control. After decades of ignoring the primitive humans, the Empire had finally decided their star system contained enough useful resources to warrant conquest. The briefing materials made it clear this would be easy work. The humans had made almost no technological progress in 50 years. Their space presence was laughable. A few small satellites, one orbital research station, and some clunky probes exploring their outer planets. Their military forces still used projectile weapons and basic energy shields. 12 destroyers and 2 heavy cruisers should be more than sufficient, Korath told his aide. These creatures will surrender the moment they see our ships. His fleet gathered at the edge of hyperspace, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. Each destroyer carried enough firepower to level a continent. The heavy cruisers could crack a planet's crust if necessary. Against a primitive civilization like the humans, this force was overwhelming. The jump to hyperspace felt routine. Korath had conquered 17 different worlds in his career. The pattern was always the same: arrive in the system, broadcast the surrender demand, accept the submission of the local government, and establish imperial rule. Most species were smart enough to give up without a fight. When his fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, everything appeared normal. Long-range sensors detected the expected primitive technology: chemical rocket exhausts around the third planet, simple radio transmissions, a small space station in orbit that looked like it was held together with metal tape. Begin standard. Conquest protocol, Korath ordered. Broadcast the surrender demand on all frequencies. The message went out in 847 different galactic languages, though Korath doubted the humans could understand more than one or two of them. The demand was simple. Submit to Imperial rule, provide tribute and resources, accept Imperial governors, or face complete destruction. For several minutes, there was no response. Korath was not surprised. Primitive species often needed time to overcome their shock at meeting a superior civilization. Some tried to deny what they were seeing. Others begged for mercy. A few were foolish enough to threaten resistance. Then something unexpected happened. The response came not from the planet, but from what appeared to be a small asteroid in the outer system. "Unknown vessels," a calm human voice said in perfect galactic standard. "You are trespassing in Sol system space. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave immediately. This is your only warning." Korath's bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. The voice was speaking from an asteroid. Korath's sensors could detect nothing unusual about the rocky object. It was just a few kilometers across, tumbling slowly through space like thousands of others. "Scan that asteroid," Korath ordered. "Find the source of that transmission." The results were puzzling. The asteroid appeared completely natural. No artificial structures, no energy sources, no technology of any kind. Yet somehow a human was speaking from inside it. "Commander," his weapons officer reported, "I'm reading some kind of energy buildup near that asteroid." Before Korath could respond, space itself seemed to twist and bend around the rocky object. Reality rippled like water, and suddenly, the asteroid was gone. In its place hung something that made Korath's blood turn cold. The human ship was unlike anything in the Imperial database. Its hull seemed to flow and shift like liquid metal. Strange patterns of energy danced across its surface. Most disturbing of all, Imperial sensors could barely detect it. The ship seemed to exist only partially in normal space. "Classification?" Korath demanded. "Unknown design," his tactical officer replied nervously. "Mass approximately frigate class. No obvious weapons or shield generators visible." "But, Commander, our sensors are having difficulty getting solid readings. It's as if the ship is phasing in and out of reality." Korath felt a moment of uncertainty. This was not what the intelligence reports had led him to expect. But a single frigate against his entire fleet? The humans must be desperate. One frigate against 14 Imperial warships? Korath laughed. "These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Destroyer Kethvar, fire a demonstration shot. Show them what happens to those who defy the Empire. The destroyer's plasma." Lance charged with a whine of building energy. The weapon could vaporize a mountain or punch through the heaviest planetary shields. It fired, sending a beam of superheated matter racing toward the human ship. The plasma bolt struck the human vessel directly. Korath expected to see the ship disintegrate in a ball of fire. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beam simply stopped. It struck the ship's hull and dissipated harmlessly, like rain falling on glass. "Impossible," Korath whispered. "No shield technology can completely absorb a plasma lance." The human voice came again, still calm and completely unimpressed. "You have been warned. Leave now, or face the consequences." Korath's uncertainty turned to anger. No primitive species spoke to the Empire with such disrespect. These humans needed to learn their place in the galactic order. "All ships, open fire," he commanded. "Full bombardment. Turn that ship into atoms." 14 Imperial warships unleashed their fury at once. Plasma cannons, particle beams, quantum torpedoes, and graviton missiles filled space with deadly energy. The barrage was enough to sterilize a small moon. Any normal ship would have been vaporized instantly. The weapons struck the human vessel from every direction. The space around it became a hell of burning energy and exotic particles. The bombardment continued for 30 seconds, long enough to exhaust the primary weapon capacitors on every ship. When the weapons fire stopped and the energy dissipated, the human ship hung motionless and completely undamaged. Not a single mark marred its strange, flowing hull. It was as if the entire bombardment had never happened. Korath stared at his displays in shock. 14 of the Empire's most powerful warships had fired everything they had at a single target. The energy released was enough to crack a planet. Yet the human ship appeared completely unaffected. "Sensors, report," he demanded. "No damage detected." his sensor officer replied in a shaking voice. "The target's hull integrity is at 100%. No energy discharge, no structural deformation, no sign of impact at all." The human voice returned one final time. Now, it carried a tone of cold finality that made Korath's crystalline spine tingle with fear. "You were warned," Captain Sarah Chen said from the bridge of the Prometheus. "Time's up." What happened next would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned to fear humanity. The Prometheus did not move like other ships. It seemed to slide through space-time itself, appearing and disappearing as reality bent around it. Its first weapon discharge was not visible to Calraxian sensors. 3 destroyers simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, the next they had been converted to pure energy by a focused gravity collapse that compressed their matter beyond the event horizon of artificial black holes. Korath watched, in horror, as 3 of his most powerful ships vanished without trace. No explosion, no debris, no energy signature. They were simply gone, as if they had never existed. "All ships retreat!" he screamed. "Emergency hyperspace jump!" But the retreat order came too late. The humans had anticipated this response. Strange devices appeared in space around the Imperial fleet, locking down the local hyperspace fields. Korath's ships were trapped in normal space with something that defied every law of physics. The Prometheus moved among the Imperial ships like a predator among prey. Its weapons fired projectiles that arrived before they were launched, somehow traveling backwards through time to strike targets in the past and present simultaneously. Reality itself seemed to bend around the human ship as it demonstrated technologies that made the Empire's greatest achievements look like stone tools. In less than 30 minutes, the pride of the Imperial fleet was reduced to expanding clouds of superheated gas. Only Korath's command ship survived, and that only because the humans allowed it. As his crippled vessel drifted helplessly, a transmission came from the Prometheus. "You will return to your empire," Sarah Chen's voice said. "You will tell them exactly what you have seen here, and you will deliver a message. Earth is no longer hiding." The emergency session of the Imperial High Council convened within hours of receiving Commander Korath's transmission. Emperor Vashkron himself attended, his massive crystalline form towering over the other council members. The recording from the Sol system played on holographic displays throughout the chamber. The assembled military leaders watched in stunned silence as the footage showed a single human ship destroying 13 Imperial warships in 27 minutes. The weapons and tactics displayed defied everything they knew about physics and warfare. "This must be some kind of deception," Admiral Thexron declared. "The humans are primitive. Our intelligence reports confirm they barely achieved fusion technology." "Intelligence reports that are 50 years out of date," Korath replied weakly from his medical chair. "The humans have been lying to us. Everything we thought we knew about them is wrong." Emperor Vashkron studied the combat recordings with growing alarm. His scientists had already analyzed the footage a dozen times. The conclusions were disturbing. The human ship demonstrated technologies that surpassed the Empire's greatest achievements by centuries. "Explain to me how a single frigate destroyed an entire battle group," the Emperor commanded. Chief Science Advisor Yeltash stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Your Majesty, the human vessel appears to utilize several technologies we previously considered impossible. Their defensive systems operate across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Their weapons manipulate fundamental forces in ways our physics cannot explain. Most disturbing, they appear capable of temporal manipulation." The council chamber erupted in worried murmurs. Temporal weapons were theoretical at best. The energy requirements alone should make them impossible to build. "Furthermore," Yeltash continued, "the ship's movement patterns suggest they have developed faster-than-light travel that does not require hyperspace. They can appear and disappear at will, making them effectively impossible to target with conventional weapons." Emperor Vashkron raised one massive arm for silence. "How long would it take our best scientists to develop similar technology? Assuming we could even understand the principles involved, Your Majesty. Centuries, perhaps millennia. The humans appear to have developed entirely new branches of physics. The Emperor's crystalline features darkened. The Calraxian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years through technological superiority. The idea that a primitive species could Surpass them was unthinkable. Meanwhile, on Earth, the secret was finally out. Production facilities across the planet accelerated their schedules. The Prometheus had been humanity's proof of concept, their demonstration that the technology worked. Now they began mass production of the Heracles-class destroyers. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood in the war room deep beneath the Swiss Alps, studying holographic displays that showed the galaxy-wide response to the Sol incident. Intelligence networks that had been dormant for decades were suddenly buzzing with activity. Every major power in the galaxy was trying to learn more about human capabilities. "Status report on fleet construction," she ordered. 17 ships are fully operational, her aide reported. Another 30 are in various stages of completion. Full production capacity should give us 200 vessels within 6 months. Martinez nodded grimly. Intelligence suggested the Empire could field over 100,000 warships. Even with their technological advantages, humanity would be severely outnumbered in any major engagement. "What about the consciousness transfer project?" she asked. "All ship AIs are now based on uploaded human personalities," came the reply. "They retain human intuition and creativity while processing information at superhuman speeds. It gives us a significant tactical advantage over standard alien AI systems." The Consciousness Project had been humanity's most controversial breakthrough. Volunteers had allowed their minds to be copied and integrated into the ship systems. The result was artificial intelligences that thought like humans but processed data like computers. They could make intuitive leaps that no alien AI could match. Captain Sarah Chen walked through the corridors of the Prometheus, now docked at the hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt. Her ship had returned from its historic encounter, but the real war was just beginning. Around her, technicians analyzed every system, learning lessons that would be applied to future vessels. "Captain," her AI companion spoke through the ship's communication system, "I've been monitoring galactic communication networks. The Empire is mobilizing everything they have." The AI had once been Dr. James Morrison, Sarah's mentor, and the father of human consciousness transfer technology. He had volunteered for the first upload, becoming the Prometheus's digital soul. His voice carried all the warmth and wisdom she remembered from their years working together. "How long do we have?" Sarah asked. "Based on Imperial mobilization patterns, I estimate 6 months before they can assemble their full response fleet. They're calling ships back from every corner of the galaxy." Sarah felt a chill of anticipation. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Their technology was superior, but numbers still mattered in warfare. The coming battle would determine whether Earth remained free or became another conquered world in the Imperial archives. Across the galaxy, the news of humanity's demonstration spread through unofficial channels. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved species looked up at their alien masters with new hope. For the first time in millennia, someone had bloodied the Empire's nose. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, the reptilian saurians whispered among themselves in the deep tunnels. Their ancestors had once ruled 12 star systems before the Empire arrived. Now they lived as slaves, extracting rare minerals for their crystalline masters. "Is it true?" young Sektar asked his elder. "Did the humans really destroy an Imperial fleet?" Old Vexron nodded slowly. "The footage is spreading through the slave networks. 1 ship against 14, the Empire's vessels were turned to dust. Similar conversations were happening on hundreds of worlds." The Empire's grip on the galaxy had seemed unbreakable for so long that most species had given up hope of freedom. But humanity's demonstration proved that the Empire was not invincible. Emperor Vashkron stood in his private chambers, studying star charts and fleet deployment reports. His military advisors recommended immediate action. Every day they delayed, gave the humans more time to prepare additional defenses. "Assemble the Grand Armada," he finally decided. "Every available ship, every experienced commander. We will crush this human rebellion before it can spread." The orders went out across the Empire's vast communication network. Fleets that had been patrolling the Outer Rim received recall orders. Ships that had been in dock for maintenance were rushed back into service. Within days, the largest military mobilization in galactic history was underway, but the Empire's intelligence services still could not penetrate Earth's deception network. They had no idea how many ships humanity possessed or what other technological surprises awaited them. The surveillance probes still saw a primitive civilization with basic space technology. On Earth, construction crews worked around the clock in underground facilities. Each new ship incorporated lessons learned from the Prometheus encounter. Weapons were more efficient, defenses more robust, and AI systems more sophisticated. The Heracles-class destroyers were smaller than the Prometheus, but more numerous. Each one carried weapons that could destroy matter at the quantum level and defenses that existed across multiple dimensions. More importantly, each ship was crewed by humans who understood that they were fighting for the future of their species. Admiral Martinez received the latest intelligence report from her spy networks. The Empire was mobilizing everything they had. Over 2,000 of their most powerful ships were converging on the Sol system. "They're bringing their planet killer," her intelligence chief reported. "The Infinite Dominion. Emperor Vashkron is commanding personally." Martinez studied the technical specifications of the Imperial flagship. The Infinite Dominion was larger than some cities, armed with weapons capable of cracking planets in half. It represented the ultimate expression of Imperial power. "Good," she said quietly. "When we defeat them, there will be no question about the outcome. The galaxy will see that the Empire can be beaten." In the depths of space, human ships took their positions. 17 vessels against the mightiest armada ever assembled. The odds were impossible, but humanity had been preparing for impossible odds for 50 years. The galaxy was about to witness the true meaning of human determination. The Grand Armada assembled at the edge of Imperial space like a gathering storm. 2,000 of the Empire's finest warships floated in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. At the center of this magnificent fleet, the Infinite Dominion dominated the space around it like a metal moon. Emperor Vashkron stood on the flagship's primary bridge, a chamber larger than most cities. Around him, hundreds of officers coordinated the movements of the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Holographic displays showed the positions of every ship, every weapon system, every strategic asset. "Status report," the Emperor commanded. Fleet Admiral Kethmore bowed deeply before responding. "All vessels are at full readiness, Your Majesty. 2,000 heavy cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. The finest commanders from across the Empire. Weapons charged, shields raised, hyperspace drives ready." The Emperor studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Intelligent still. Showed only primitive human technology in the Sol system. Whatever trick they had used to destroy Korath's fleet would not work against the full might of the Empire. "Begin the final jump," Vashkron ordered. "Today, we remind the galaxy why the Calraxian Empire has ruled for 10,000 years." The fleet entered hyperspace as one massive entity, reality bending around thousands of ships. The jump to Earth would take 6 hours. When they arrived, the human rebellion would end in fire and plasma. On Earth, final preparations were underway. Admiral Martinez stood in the command center, watching as 17 human ships took their positions around the solar system. Each vessel was a masterpiece of secret technology, carrying weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. "All ships report ready," her communications officer announced. "The Prometheus, Heracles, Achilles, and 14 other vessels are in position." Martinez nodded. 17 ships against 2,000. The numbers were terrifying, but humanity had advantages the Empire could not imagine. Their ships existed partially outside normal space-time. Their weapons fired across multiple dimensions. Their AI systems thought with human creativity and intuition. Most importantly, they were fighting for their home. The aliens were fighting for conquest. That difference would matter more than raw numbers. "Signal from deep space monitors," the sensor operator called out. "Massive hyperspace disturbance detected. The Imperial fleet is coming." Martinez took a deep breath. 50 years of preparation had led to this moment. Humanity's greatest test was about to begin. "Send word to all ships," she ordered. "Remember what we're fighting for. Remember who we are. Show them what humans can do." The Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system in a display of overwhelming force. 2,000 warships appeared simultaneously, their weapons already charged and ready. The formation was perfect, a demonstration of military precision that had conquered a galaxy. Emperor Vashkron expected to see the humans cowering before such a display of power. Instead, he found 17 small ships waiting calmly in defensive positions around their planet. 17 ships? Admiral Kethmore sounded confused. Intelligence suggested they had at least 50 vessels under construction. Perhaps the rest are hiding, the Emperor mused. No matter. Begin the attack. Destroy every human ship, then commence planetary bombardment. I want this rebellion ended within the hour. The order went out across the Imperial fleet. 2,000 ships began advancing toward Earth, their weapons warming up for the slaughter to come. They moved in perfect formation, a wall of crystal and metal that had never been defeated. Then something impossible happened. The 17 human ships simply vanished. Where did they go? Vashkron demanded. Unknown, Your Majesty, the censor officer replied nervously. They were there one moment, gone the next. No hyperspace signatures, no energy trails, they just disappeared. The answer came moments later as the Prometheus materialized inside the Imperial formation. The ship appeared directly between two heavy cruisers, its exotic hull gleaming with energy patterns that hurt to look at. Impossible, Admiral Kethmore whispered. Nothing can teleport through our shield screens. Captain Sarah Chen's voice cut. Across all communication frequencies, calm and confident. Emperor Vashkron, you have brought an impressive fleet to our system. Unfortunately for you, we've learned a few new tricks since our last encounter. The Prometheus fired its first weapon, a beam that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously. The energy passed through the shields of 6 Imperial ships as if they were not there, striking their reactors directly. The vessels exploded in balls of superheated plasma. Before the Empire could respond, the other 16 human ships materialized throughout the formation. They appeared inside shield perimeters, behind defensive lines, in positions that should have been impossible to reach. Each ship immediately opened fire with weapons that defied understanding. The Heracles used temporal artillery, firing projectiles that traveled backwards through time. Imperial ships found themselves being destroyed by weapons that had not yet been fired. The past and present became confused as causality itself was weaponized. The Achilles demonstrated matter conversion technology, transforming enemy hulls directly into energy. Crystalline armor that had protected Imperial ships for centuries simply ceased to exist, converted to pure light by focused quantum fields. Emperor Vashkron watched in horror as his magnificent fleet began to disintegrate. The humans were not fighting like any enemy he had ever faced. They moved through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. Their weapons struck targets that were light years away. Their defenses existed in dimensions his sensors could not detect. All ships, concentrate fire on the lead human vessel, he ordered desperately. Destroy the Prometheus at any cost. 1,000 weapons focused on Sarah Chen's ship. Plasma cannons, particle beams, quantum torpedoes, and exotic matter projectiles filled space with deadly energy. The barrage was intense enough to vaporize a small moon. The weapons struck the Prometheus and accomplished nothing. Its multidimensional armor absorbed energy from 11 different realities simultaneously, spreading the damage across infinite parallel universes. The ship emerged from the bombardment completely undamaged. Your turn, Sarah Chen announced. The Prometheus deployed its most exotic weapon system. Devices that looked like crystalline flowers bloomed along its hull, each one opening portals to pocket dimensions where the laws of physics had been carefully rewritten. Energy poured out of these portals, energy that obeyed different rules than the matter in normal space. The exotic energy struck the Imperial fleet and began converting their ships into something else entirely. Hulls became transparent. Weapons turned into geometric patterns of pure mathematics. Crew members found their thoughts being translated into light and music. Retreat! Emperor Vashkron screamed. All ships retreat immediately! But retreat was impossible. The humans had deployed the same hyperspace dampening technology they had used before, but on a massive scale. The entire solar system was locked down. 2,000 Imperial ships were trapped in normal space with 17 human vessels that seemed to exist outside reality itself. The battle that followed could not really be called a battle at all. It was more like a physics demonstration delivered through violence. The human ships moved through the Imperial formation like sharks through a school of fish, their weapons rewriting the fundamental laws of nature with each shot. Some Imperial ships simply vanished, their matter converted to information and broadcast across the galaxy. Others found themselves frozen in time, their crews experiencing the same moment over and over. A few were transformed into pure energy and absorbed by the human ships to power their exotic systems. Emperor Vashkron's flagship, the mighty Infinite Dominion, tried to bring its planet-killing weapon to bear. The antimatter cannon charged with enough power to crack a world in half. It fired once, sending a beam of annihilation toward Earth. The beam struck the planet's defensive network and was converted into harmless light. The energy that could have destroyed a world became nothing more than a beautiful aurora in Earth's atmosphere. How? Vashkron whispered. How is this possible? His answer came as the Prometheus appeared directly in front of his bridge, close enough that he could see Captain Chen through the viewing ports. Her ship's hull opened like a flower, revealing docking bays and airlocks. Emperor Vashkron, Sarah. Chen's voice came through the communication system. Your fleet is defeated. Your empire is broken. Surrender now, and your surviving crews will be treated with honor. Continue fighting, and they will share the fate of your other ships. Around them, the remnants of the Grand Armada drifted helplessly in space. Of 2,000 ships, fewer than 50 remained intact. The greatest military force in galactic history had been destroyed by 17 human vessels in less than 2 hours. The Emperor looked out at his ruined fleet and made the hardest decision of his 10,000-year reign. For the first time in galactic history, the Calraxian Empire would surrender to a species they had considered primitive. I yield, he said quietly. The Empire surrenders to humanity. The galaxy changed forever on the day humanity revealed its true nature. News of the Sol devastation, as historians would later name it, spread across every inhabited world within weeks. The impossible had happened. The Calraxian Empire, rulers of the galaxy for 10 millennia, had been defeated by a species that most civilizations had never heard of. Emperor Vashkron sat in what had once been his private chambers aboard the Infinite Dominion. The massive flagship now served as a prison ship, its weapons disabled and its crew confined to quarters. Through the viewing ports, he could see human vessels moving with purpose around Earth's solar system. Captain Sarah Chen entered the chamber, her uniform bearing the insignia of the new Galactic Confederation Defense Force. Behind her walked Admiral Martinez and a small honor guard. The humans moved with quiet confidence, showing no arrogance despite their overwhelming victory. Your Majesty, Sarah began formally, the Confederation Council has reached a decision regarding your fate and that of your empire. Vashkron straightened his crystalline form. He expected execution or permanent imprisonment. The Empire's own laws were harsh toward defeated enemies. He had personally ordered the destruction of entire civilizations. You will stand trial for crimes against sentient beings, Sarah continued, but the trial will be fair, conducted according to laws agreed upon by representatives from every world in your former empire. You will have legal representation and the right to present evidence in your defense. The Emperor was stunned. You are not executing me immediately? That's not how humans operate, Admiral Martinez replied. We believe in justice, not revenge. Your crimes are vast. But even you deserve a fair trial. Sarah gestured toward the viewing ports where construction ships could be seen working around damaged Imperial vessels. Your surviving crews are being treated for injuries and will be repatriated to their homeworlds. Those who wish to join the new Confederation will be welcomed. Those who prefer to return home will be given passage and supplies. I don't understand, Vashkron said slowly. You have defeated us completely. Why show mercy to your enemies? Because mercy is what separates civilization from barbarism, Sarah replied. The galaxy has seen enough cruelty. It's time for something better. Across the galaxy, the news continued to spread. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, the Saurian slaves had stopped their digging to watch Imperial broadcasts. The official channels were silent, but underground networks carried footage of the battle and its aftermath. Old Vexaron stood before a crowd of his people in the deep tunnels, his reptilian features showing emotions that had been suppressed for generations. "The chains are broken," he announced. "After 1,000 years of slavery, we are free." The celebration began quietly, almost fearfully. For so long, any sign of rebellion had meant death. But as the hours passed and no imperial punishment forces arrived, the joy became overwhelming. Across the mining complex, Saurian voices rose in traditional songs that had been forbidden for centuries. Similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. The Avian Federation of Rigel declared independence and began organizing democratic elections. The aquatic collectives of the Tau Ceti system opened their sealed cities for the first time in millennia. Species that had been enslaved for so long they had forgotten their original names began to remember who they had been. On Earth, the transformation was equally dramatic but more controlled. The secret was finally out, and humanity could stop pretending to be primitive. Underground facilities across the planet opened their blast doors. Advanced spacecraft rose from hidden hangars. Technology that had been developed in darkness for 50 years finally saw the light of day. Dr. Marcus Webb stood in what had once been a hidden laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps. Now the facility hummed with activity as scientists from across the galaxy arrived to study human technology. The physics breakthroughs that had seemed impossible were being shared freely with anyone who wanted to learn. "The consciousness transfer protocol is the key," he explained to a group of researchers from 12 different species. "By copying human thought patterns into quantum matrices, we create AI systems that can think creatively and make intuitive leaps that pure logic cannot achieve." A tall, insectoid scientist from the Centauri Collective raised one of her 4 arms. "But surely there are ethical concerns about copying consciousness." "Absolutely," Marcus replied. "That's why every transfer is voluntary, and the original person survives the process unchanged. We're creating copies, not stealing souls." The ethics committee spent years developing the protocols. The sharing of technology was not one-sided. Humanity had achieved incredible breakthroughs in some areas while remaining relatively primitive in others. Alien medical techniques could extend human lifespans significantly. Environmental restoration technologies from agricultural worlds could help repair Earth's damaged ecosystems. Captain Sarah Chen walked through the corridors of the Prometheus, now docked at Earth's first official orbital shipyard. The secret base in the asteroid belt had been revealed and expanded. Around her ship, construction crews from a dozen different species worked together on the next generation of Confederation vessels. "Captain," her AI companion spoke through the ship's communication system. "I've been analyzing the cultural integration reports. The transition from Empire to Confederation is proceeding faster than our most optimistic projections." James Morrison's digital consciousness had adapted well to his new role as ambassador to other AI systems. He helped former Imperial AI networks learn creativity and independence, guiding them away from the rigid obedience that had characterized their existence under the Empire. "What's the key factor?" Sarah asked. "Hope," James replied immediately. "These civilizations have been oppressed for so long that the mere possibility of freedom is intoxicating. They're eager to prove they can govern themselves and contribute to something greater than conquest." The formal establishment of the Galactic Confederation took place 1 year after the Battle of Sol. Representatives from over 3,000 worlds gathered in a massive space station constructed in neutral territory. The station itself was a marvel of cooperative engineering, incorporating the best technologies and architectural styles from hundreds of different cultures. Admiral Sarah Martinez, now Supreme Commander of Confederation Defense Forces, addressed the assembly. Behind her, holographic displays showed the new star maps. The old imperial territories had been reorganized into democratic sectors. Trade routes that had once carried tribute to the Empire now facilitated free commerce between worlds. "We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals," she began. "The Confederation is founded on principles that the Empire rejected: freedom, cooperation, and the belief that diversity makes us stronger." The assembly included representatives from species that had never been allowed to speak for themselves. Under Imperial rule, crystalline beings from gas giant moons sat alongside silicon-based life forms from volcanic worlds. Hive minds debated policy with radical individualists. Somehow, they were making it work. Emperor Vashkron's trial concluded 3 months later. The evidence against him was overwhelming, but true to their word, the humans ensured he received competent legal representation. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy, showing that justice could be fair even for the worst criminals. The sentence was life imprisonment, but with a twist that surprised everyone. Vashkron would spend his remaining years working with rehabilitation specialists to help other former Imperial officials adapt to life in the Confederation. His knowledge of Imperial systems and psychology would be used to heal rather than harm. Even monsters can be redeemed, the Chief Judge explained. If we truly believe in the possibility of change, we must extend that belief even to our greatest enemies. 5 years after the revelation, humanity had settled into its new role as one of many species in the Confederation. The initial awe at human technology had faded into routine cooperation. What impressed the galaxy more than human weapons was human philosophy, the idea that problems could be solved through discussion rather than force. Sarah Chen, now an admiral herself, stood on the observation deck of the CSS Unity, a massive exploration vessel crewed by representatives from 50 different worlds. The ship was preparing for humanity's most ambitious project yet, an expedition beyond the galactic rim to explore what lay in the void between galaxies. "Nervous?" asked Commander Zexhai, her Saurian first officer. "Excited," Sarah replied. "For 50 years, humanity dreamed of reaching the stars. Now we're going beyond the stars themselves." The Unity and its sister ships represented everything the Confederation had achieved. They were vessels of exploration, not conquest. Their weapons existed only for defense against unknown threats. Their primary mission was to learn, to discover, and to expand the boundaries of knowledge for all species. As the ships engaged their exotic drives and began the long journey toward intergalactic space, Sarah thought about the path that had brought them here. Humanity had hidden in the shadows for decades, preparing for the day when they would have to fight for their freedom. But their greatest victory had not come through superior weapons or technology.